A very, very warm welcome from my side to our workshop on towards renewable heating and cooling, replacement of inefficient systems in the residential sector. This workshop is a collaboration with Build Up and the Horizon 2020 project Replace, and we're also very happy to have another project here to report on their results from HARP, Heating Appliances Retrofit Planning. This meeting will be recorded and available on YouTube. You can ask questions in the chat. I will give a little bit of time after each session for questions, so please feel free to ask your questions and I will give them to the speakers. What is Build Up? Build Up is the European portal for energy efficiency in buildings, an initiative established by the Commission already in 2009 to support member states in implementing the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive. You can find actually a lot of info on buildup.eu, so I invite you to go there and have a look around. Build Up also has monthly topics, and I think the very important topic of the month May, especially in the current time of turmoil and energy supply issues, is reducing energy consumption in buildings. So today's webinar hopefully will be a very good opportunity to talk about the phase out of fossil based heating systems, how it can be brought forward in the European agenda. And I think that is a very pressing issue here in Austria. Obviously, questions or interest by households and consumers to get out of their fossil fuel based heating systems really has increased 10 times. So I think the topic really is back on the agenda. My name is Karina Knaus. I will be your host for this meeting, and I am with the Austrian Energy Agency. Let me just give you a little overview of the agenda. We will have a first block, roughly from 10 to 11, where we have presentations about both the project Replace and the H2020 project HARP. And then in the second place, I'm very happy to host a roundtable panel discussion from around 11 to 12 with all project partners representing our Replace pilot regions. So I think we'll get a good insight into heating and cooling in those regions in Middle and Southeast Europe. And then with the representative from HARP, we can also have a broader look at their pilot regions, Spain, France, Germany as well, and so on. So yeah, without further ado, that little outlook, I would say I hand over directly to the project coordinator for Replace, Herbert Tretter, my colleague. He's also from the Austrian Energy Agency, one of our senior experts, and he will give you a first overview of the Replace project. So Herbert, the floor is yours. Please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Karina. I would also like to give you a warm welcome from Vienna. My name is Herbert Tretter. I'm also in the Austrian Energy Agency, and I'm the coordinator of Replace. And I would like to thank Build Up to give us the opportunity to present our project. And I also thank the attendees for giving them some time to this topic. And our project is about making heating and cooling for European consumers efficient, economically resilient, clean and climate friendly. Yes, you can see here we also have a project website. It's replace-project.eu. you find a lot of information about our project. And on the next slide, you see our project team. We started in end of 2019, so we are quite advanced in our project. And we have project partners in 11 project partners in 8 countries, ranging from Spain over mid-Europe to southeastern European countries. All of them have different market development and socio-economic conditions. Yes, our objectives are to our heating of residential households, which shall become independent from energy imports. And we would like to support green heat coming from close from home, cleanly and efficiently from one's own roof, garden, soil, or local forest. Yes, the challenge we see is that households need easy access to product neutral know-how and to enable them to take informed decisions and for ending their dependency on imports. What we can offer from our project is quite a topic now, because we have an energy crisis and many homes and families are quite worried because of the price increases for the heating supply, and that really affects fuel oil and also natural gas. And with natural gas, there is also a supply security crisis. So what we hear and see is that many families are really worried, and they need reliable information on suitable clean alternatives. And they also need information on the costs, financial viability, and on any financial support they can get. So therefore, our project developed a lot of materials and tools that gives them advice to enable them to make informed decisions. Here are the most prominent tools and info materials we developed and which is available already. So ranging from heating matrices to a calculator for techno-economical assessment, which I will show later today. We have handbooks for end consumers and for professionals, and we have a lot of best practice examples from the pilot regions. Yes, we have 9 pilot regions in 8 countries, and all tools and materials are available in national languages. Some of them, or most of them, even in English. That means translated. And these pilot regions have in total more than 8 million inhabitants. The heating matrices, which is shown here, is an easy overview which clean heating system fits to your house. So from left to right you have columns showing different qualities of houses. The right one have very high energy consumption, and in the rows you see the different heating systems, clean, climate-friendly heating systems, and there's a traffic light system that shows which heating system goes best with which type of house. So that's available online and is very good, helpful for decision making. The next tool is the calculator. You can see here the landing page. It is a multilingual tool, and it's kind of an easy do-it-yourself energy advice tool that is free of charge. You can also see here the link to the landing page. Then the handbooks for end consumers and for professionals are also available online on our project website. as for the best practice examples. And what we are also doing is that we are currently implementing replacement campaigns in the pilot regions. We therefore established local working groups. There are 9 local working groups where the relevant actors of the heating sectors are grouped around the table, and these local working groups are developed measures that help to reduce the main barriers. In total, we have a set of nearly 20 different activities that are performed by these local working groups, and ranging from labeling of boilers, houses, pre-feasibility studies. We have municipal information hubs. We are at consumer fairs and festivals. We have open cellar events, field trips, webinars showing the calculator. We are facilitating mobile emergency heating devices that help to bridge over the breakdown situation for some weeks and to enable end consumers to take informed decisions. We also help people to develop new business models. Installers can become contractors or can collaborate with installers. Contractors and installers can collaborate. We have collective actions that are implemented in all regions, and in Austria we have one-stop shop for boiler replacement in the province of Salzburg that offers an all-round carefree package for boiler replacement. And there are a lot of other instruments and activities, for example, information evenings on municipal level, which is also a good option. Our actions are performed until April next year, and this is what I wanted to show you what we are doing, and I hope you find the workshop interesting and informative. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Herbert, for this first insight. We will see you later, actually, in a little while again, to show us already some of the outcomes of Replace, namely the tools. If there are any questions, as I said, feel free to post in the chat, write them in the chat. I don't see anything yet, but as it was the introductory session, I think I would move on to our next speaker. You already see him on the screen, hopefully. Gaspar Stegner from the Energy Efficiency Center in Slovenia, Josef Stefan Institute. I already apologize to all the speakers for butchering their names, but he will give us further insights, particular about policies and challenges for the residential heating and cooling sector in Europe. So warm welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Karina, for your nice introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Gaspar Stegner. I'm from Josef Stefan Institute from Ljubljana, Slovenia, and I will present you the Replace projects a little bit in more detail. First of all, with heating and cooling comprising 50% of the final European Union energy consumption and over 68% of all gas imports, permanently reducing consumption and increasing the share of renewables in this sector is paramount for a successful energy union. In particular, the fact that 80 million out of 120 million installed space heating system in Europe currently achieve an energy label class C or D gives rise to major concern. The Replace project therefore aims to boost the phase out of inefficient and old heating and cooling systems by targeting consumers, investors and owners, as well as intermediaries like installers, plumbers and chimney sweepers, and helps them to make more informed decisions. Facts regarding high share of inefficient boilers, need for fossil fuel replacement and energy independence gives rise to motivate end consumers to replace their equipment as quickly as possible with more efficient environmentally friendly alternative systems. This is the point where Replace project comes to aid. The first overall objective of Replace project is to implement targeted campaigns to make heating and cooling for European consumers efficient, economically resilient, clean, and climate friendly. All activities proposed by Replace aim to inform and motivate consumers to replace their old and inefficient heating and cooling system with better, greener alternatives with the benefit of monetary savings and improvements in air quality, comfort, safety, and security of supply. The project focus is on the residential heating sector. It is coordinated by Austrian Energy Agency and runs until April 2023. The geographical focus of Replace is in Western, Central, and Southeastern Europe. Consortium today consists of 8 regions covered by 12 partners. Like it has been already mentioned, the Replace targets over 1.3 million consumers directly, with an estimated direct impact of 8 gigawatt hours of primary energy savings per year, and a reduction in annual greenhouse gas emissions of approximately 3,600 tons of CO2 equivalent. And to actually transpose the project's objectives during and beyond project life, every project partner establishes and cooperates with local working groups, which comprise of local and national key stakeholders residing in their target region. Key members of local working groups firmly committed themselves by letter of support in the beginning of the project to actively support the implementation of project findings in their target regions. All consortium participants can rely on their strong local networks and are perfectly placed to steer the work of the local working groups. Key members and project beneficiaries, jointly with other key stakeholders of the local working groups, developed and are currently implementing comprehensive, targeted, oriented replacement implementation campaigns. One of the most important results of our project are the tools that can be used in order to aid the decision-making process. When replacing inefficient heating system, the Replace heating matrices provide an initial overview. They show which type of heating system based on renewable energy sources or connection to a district heat is most suitable for single or double family houses or for larger volume buildings. What kind of a system is recommended depends on the thermal quality of the considered building. For example, the useful heat demand in kilowatt per square meters and year according to the energy performance certificate. The Replace calculator will later on be presented by Herbert in just a few moments. And furthermore, handbooks for end consumers and intermediaries as well as investors were created and translated. For example, end consumers will find technical and economic information on modern heating and cooling equipment, condensed and easy to understand. And next slides will present Replace in action. We'll present you 4 different targeted campaigns in 4 different countries. For example, first up is Austria. In April this year, the Austrian one-stop shop for boiler and oven replacement went live. This is an offer that was organized and presented by the Austrian Energy Agency. From then on, end consumers can use a new internet platform of the pilot initiative, first in the province of Salzburg, to select a provider in their vicinity. The provider, among other things, undertakes to install climate-friendly heating system and to take the old boiler with them, carries out heating checks to save energy, and provides a mobile heating container in the event of heating system failure, thus creating time for exchange. In Bulgaria, Replace project partner DSERC was directly involved in increasing the subsidy for renewable heating system at the national level, 7-fold to 70 million euros. To ensure that end consumers are equipped with climate-friendly pellets for the coming winter, DSERC is organizing a joint purchase in 2 municipalities in the summer of 2022, which will also have a positive effect on the final energy price. In Spain, project partner IREN and ESCAN organized a workshop for professionals. Here, 41 participants learned more about climate-friendly heating knowledge that they can now pass on to their consumers. The project partners made more knowledge about biomass directly available to end consumers, where with 200 houses and 200 boilers were got an information label. 10 info hubs have already been established. A new subsidy scheme developed by Iran is helping to switch a total of 10 megawatts of residential boiler capacity from fossil fuels to biomass within some months. And final, 4 widowers deal with heating with biomass in single-family house, in a partner building, a private and public heating network instead of fossil fuels were already published online. And finally, in Slovenia, through the efforts of project partner Jožef Stefan Institute, everyone that wants to apply for a subsidy for climate-friendly heating automatically benefits from the replace heating system calculator. This is because the office, this is EcoFund that awards the subsidies, advises applicants to calculate their project and in advance by using the heating system calculator presented by Replace. This is the way of receiving information on sustainable climate-friendly heating system for their situation, for the funding application. And finally, a further 75 intermediaries use the Replace calculator as a white label tool for their business. And a collective action resulted in 143 oil boilers that were replaced by heat pumps, while the target was set to 100 fuel oil boilers. So this was Replace in a nutshell. Thank you for your attention for now, and this will be all from my side. Thanks.
Thank you very, very much. I have to say I'm always very impressed and amazed what we did or project partners did in their regions. I really think we have created some measurable and good impact, which is really the main goal of doing this kind of project. So it's good to see that actually, replace is not just a name, but things are being replaced, mostly in efficient heating systems. So thank you very much. I said, if you have any questions to this presentation or to other speakers, feel free to post them anytime in the chat. And as soon as I see a question pop up, I will just pass it on to the speakers. We will see them also in the roundtable, most of them, so we can also take up, of course, any questions at that point. Next on, we have Benedetta Di Costanzo. You might not expect it, but she's actually with VIP Renewable Energies in Germany, despite her name, and she's presenting us renewable heating and cooling options and real life stories from Europe. So we're very happy to have you here and in the project, and the floor is yours, Benedetta.
Thank you very much, Karina. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, so as Karina mentioned, my name is Benedetta Di Costanzo, and I'm project manager at VIP Renewable Energies, which is a consultancy based in Munich working on renewable energies project, and we are a partner in the Replace project. So the idea for my presentation is to guide you, to introduce you to 3 reports which have been recently published by Replace. So the reports are all public and all available on the Replace website. The first report I'm going to introduce you is a practical guide for end users when it comes to replacing heating systems. The second one is a handbook for intermediaries and investors, and the last one is a collection of best practice examples of renewable heating and cooling replacements across all Europe. So going a bit more into detail, the first report is titled Renewable Heating and Cooling Replacement Technologies for End Consumers. It's available in 9 languages, as all of the replace reports. The languages are Bulgarian, Bosnian, German, English, Spanish, Croatian, Macedonian, Slovenian, and Serbian. The objective of this specific report is to provide a practical guide to end users who are considering to replace their heating systems or to undertake an energy efficiency measure in their home. Clearly, I cannot go through all the report right now, but by giving you a sneak peek of what's in the report, I hope to catch your curiosity, and I hope you will go on the Replace website to download the report. In the report, you will find, in fact, a bit the basics of the benefits of replacing an old and inefficient heating system with an innovative renewable one. So benefits which are economic, environmental, and social benefits. Then you will find also some tips on the steps that every end user should take before and during the replacement process to do it in the right way. There is also a section with the frequently asked question from end users when it comes to replacing their heating system, and you will find all the answers in there. And last but not least, the report also includes some nicely illustrated fact sheets. These fact sheets present all the renewable heating and cooling technologies which are currently available on the European market for the residential sector. The technologies which are covered in this report and in general by the Replace project are biomass boilers for wood pellets and for logwood, biomass heating systems with wood chips, modern wood stoves and pellet stoves, electrical heat pumps, solar thermal systems, photovoltaic systems for heating, renewable cooling, multifunctional facade systems, and then there is also a chapter on other heating options like collective actions, shading and insulation measures, and infrared heating systems. And yes, you can see from my slide how the technology fact sheets in this report for end users look like. So they are nicely illustrated, showing how the technology works and giving additional information on each of these technologies. Here I just wanted to show you the overview of one of the chapters of this report. So one of these chapters focuses on the different phases of the replacement process, the phases that as an end user who wants to replace his heating system, you should undergo. So all the phases are then explained more into detail in the report, of course. I will try to keep it short here. But yes, if you decide to replace your heating system, then as a first step, you should get familiar with the technologies which are available on the market. And the report is very useful for that. Then you should check whether a total or a partial insulation of the building shell is needed on top of a heating system replacement. You should, of course, get in touch with an energy advisor for some in-depth consultation. You should estimate the benefits and the costs of the replacement. You should contact an installer to do the practical job. You should apply for regional and national incentives, which are now available really in many countries and regions across Europe in order to incentivize the replacement of old and inefficient heating systems. And last but not least, of course, you just enjoy your new heating systems and tell your friends how cool it is. The second report I want to present is the handbook for installers, plumbers, chimney sweepers, and investors, which is also available in 9 languages on the Replace website. And the objective of this report is to encourage the commitment of intermediaries and investors towards the transition of the residential heating and cooling sector. The report addresses intermediaries, and by intermediaries I mean installers, chimney sweepers, plumbers, building developers, energy advisors. And the idea is to provide the intermediaries with in-depth knowledge of the renewable heating and cooling options available on the market today in Europe. And the report also provides tips for intermediaries on how to communicate the benefits of a replacement process to their customers. And it also, the report also addresses investors in one of its sections. And by investors, I mean financing institutions, public authorities, energy suppliers, and homeowners. And investors are provided with information about economic issues, best practices, and innovative business models, and model contracts for renewable heating and cooling solutions. So in this report, again, I cannot read the whole report right now, but just to catch your attention, your curiosity, I can tell you that the report includes some tips to intermediaries on which are the replacement project phases. So while the previous report was addressing end users and the phases of the replacement process for end users, this one addresses intermediaries and the phases of project of replacement process for intermediaries. So the first step should be a conception and consultation with the end user, planning of the replacement project, design, the commissioning and disposal of the old heating system, and installation and commissioning of the new heating system, and finally the user maintenance of the of the new heating system. The report, as additional tips, also includes a chapter on failures that intermediaries and installers should avoid when replacing a heating system, and the common mistakes which are often made during the replacement process. Again, the report goes much more into detail of each of these failures and common mistakes. Just to mention some of them, sometimes the new installed system has the wrong size. Sometimes intermediaries disregard the quality of the heat distribution water and the importance of the hydraulic balancing. Sometimes they do poor ductwork installation or insufficient drainage or inadequate inspection or insufficient refrigerant charge. The report for intermediaries and investors also includes some nicely illustrated fact sheets that you can see here in the picture. The fact sheets for the intermediaries and investors report include a section on which system fits to which building type. The technologies covered are more or less the same as those covered by the end user report. Then the fact sheets also include planning guidelines and recommendations for installers, which technologies matches with other technologies, because sometimes, for example, in the case of solar thermal systems, they are supplemented by a biomass boiler, for example. And then the fact sheets also include a list of selling points that intermediaries could tell their customers when trying to sell a renewable heating system. As I said at the beginning, there is also, in this report, there is also a section dedicated to investors. In particular, the chapter dedicated to investors explains the reasons why, some of the reasons why investors should invest in renewable heating and cooling systems. And just to mention a few of them, reasons include that investing in renewable heating and cooling systems brings economic return up to 8 times higher than the initial investment. Then the instability of the fossil fuel prices, which was mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, is now really a global and urgent opportunity to accelerate the shift to renewable energy. Then investing in renewable energy could bring up to 63 million new jobs by 2050 in Europe. It is safe to invest in renewable heating and cooling because the regulatory framework at EU and a national level is becoming always more stable and more favorable, of course, towards renewable systems, also providing many financial incentive schemes. There are positive externalities for the society coming from the installation of renewable heating and cooling systems, like the reduction of the greenhouse gas emissions and the improvement of air quality. Renewable energy provides security of energy supply, which is also a very hot point right now. Creation of economies of scale. So the more we invest in renewable energy systems, the cheaper they become. Technological leadership of the European renewable heating industry, and increase business value of the property if your building is equipped with a renewable heating systems, then its economic value increases. The last report that I would present today is a collection of best practice examples of renewable heating and cooling replacements in the target regions of the Replace project, also available in 9 languages and published on the Replace website. And so this report, not only it provides a catalog of best practices and innovative approaches for heating and cooling replacement in Western, Central, and Southeastern Europe, but it really wants to show that replacements can be implemented under real local conditions, are technically and economically feasible, and so it's a kind of encouragement to all those who want to undertake a replacement in their home. There are several types of best practice examples illustrated in the report, from residential building refurbishment to heating and cooling replacement, to demand response and collective actions, to innovative approaches like utilizing mobile heating units or innovative building renovations. In the next slides, I just show some of the examples which are included in the report. I will not go into detail of the numbers here, but just to give you an idea, for each best practice example, we explain in which building the replacement or the initiative was undertaken, what was the previous installed capacity, what was the previous costs, and what are the energy savings with the new system. So I just report 3 examples here from Bosnia, from Slovenia, and from Germany. But there are more than 30 examples in the report, so that's also an interesting read. And I hope that with this presentation, I increased your curiosity to go and have a look at the reports on the Replace website. And thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Benedetta. You can see also the link there, replace-project.eu. I think you showed us that there really is a lot now already on the website, a lot of materials that are have been completed during the project. So please come and have a look and use those guidelines and fact sheets and everything else that we have created. It's obviously not just for the consortium, but hopefully will be useful to everybody facing sort of similar issues and problems and looking for inspiration and everything else. So thank you very much, Benedetta. And now, and also have to say, very good timekeeping by all the speakers today. So thanks for that as well, because I know it's difficult, because there will be a lot always to say. Now we hand back over, so to speak, to our Replace project coordinator, Herbert Tretter, and he will show you the calculation or the demonstrate or show you the Replace heating system calculator. Herbert, the floor is yours again.
Yeah, thank you, Karina. Yes, I now have the pleasure to introduce you to one of the main tools we have developed during the action. You've seen we have the heating matrices that show which system goes best with which type or quality of house. And now I show you a tool that enables a techno-economical assessment. Very easy one, do it yourself one, but it can be also used by professionals. Yeah, the starting point as we had is that many homes and families are worried about their future. Having a warm home is a crucial thing, so that we can understand that's really worrying what's going on now. Prices are increasing and security of supply is endangered, especially according to the gas pipelines. And it's, of course, is a challenge because families have limited financial resources, and they ask for support if there is any. The tool answers all these questions, and especially quick, and even including any financial support, especially for within the pilot regions. So there's that's the landing page of this tool. You can see it's you can select on top the region where you are situated, and then you can either choose the national language or the English language for every region the tool covers. And as I said, you do not have to know anything before, so the tool assists you, and the tool is of course free of charge. The scope of the tool is to give orientation and enable informed decisions in the residential heating sector for consumers, investors, owners of buildings. And it facilitates the replacement of an existing old fuel oil, natural gas, electric, coal, or logwood heating system. It can be either boiler or ovens, depending on the region. So the types of systems that are common in the pilot region that are also captured by the tool. And the tool helps to assess the switch to a new, clean, climate-friendly solution and shows the costs of such a switch. Yeah, the tool, the calculator, is based on an existing Austrian calculator of the Ministry for Climate Action called exit. So the exit from heating oil. And we made an update of this calculator, which was only made for Austria. Now the tool, the calculator, is working for 8 European countries, and it works in 7 national languages, and in addition, for every country, there's also an English version available. As I said, you do not have to know anything when you use this tool, no technical, no economical background. This is enabled as the tool has default values behind. In the back end of the tool, there are default values for every region that apply for renovations in residential buildings, ranging from single-family houses to block of flats. So the default values enables you to assess even larger buildings that consume up to 20,000 liters of heating oil equivalent per year. So that's the range of the tool. And when users consider a fuel switch, they have many questions. They ask which technology and fuels are available in my situation, what subsidy programs can be considered, and how does this affect costs? And what about the cost of heating when I look at more than just the initial costs? So the calculator gives answers to all of these questions. And the cost question is answered by annual full heating costs. So the tool does not just compare fuel costs, it includes also investment and subsidies that are available. So the tool should help to find the best solution for your home. Ideally, you would use the energy consultant or the calculator together with an energy consultant or an installer, because then you have more accurate results. But for a quick check, the tool, I think, is really helpful. In the quick mode, which does not need any previous knowledge of the user, you can, in just 3 steps, get results. In the first step, you define some basic info of the home. You only need to know the actual energy consumption of the heating building. So, for example, how much fuel oil did you consume last year? 3,000 liters, for example, and you enter this figure. Then you choose the type of heat distribution system. Do you have a radiator or a floor panel heating systems or the like? And what hot water preparation system do you have? Is it heated by the main heating system, or do you have electricity heater, or is it a solar thermal plant and the like? In the second step, you choose the options regarding the fuels that are available. Is there a connection to the local district heating network possible? You see the icons next to the points. Is there accessibility for a pellet lorry? Is there enough space available in your house for biomass fuel storage? And when you enter those questions and answer them, then you automatically get to the third step, the results section. Then you see a ranking of the costs of viable green alternatives. So that's on the right side of the slide. You see the result. You see the possible green heating technologies together with the annual heating costs ranked from the lowest to the highest heating costs per year. You can see this in the slide also via the bars. You see here the first bar from green to red shows you the investment costs, excluding subsidies for the new heating system. Then you see the annual cost savings compared to the existing system. And you also see the annual CO2 reduction of the new heating system compared to the old one. And also you see any comfort improvements. For example, if you switch from a biomass boiler to a pellet boiler. So that was the quick mode. The tool also features an expert mode. So if you expand, for example, here the results for the pellet boiler, annual costs of nearly 3,000 euros in Austria was this example. Then you see here the lot of information. As I told before, you can also download some PDFs that are basically the information from the handbook that Benedetta showed before. And the further adjustments in the expert modes allow you to adapt the default values, so you can enter here the investment costs, for example, based on real offers of the new heating system. You can enter here subsidies if you know the exact figure. You can enter here the fuel costs of the old system and of the new system. You can enter here price escalation rates for the new fuel, and you can enter here the service and maintenance costs of the old and the new heating system. So you can do this for all technologies, and that allows you to get exact figures. The tool also has the opportunity to have it as a white label tool. So, for example, professionals or public energy advice centers can place this tool via a frame on their own website, or they just place a link to the landing page of the calculator on their own website. If you want to do this, you just need to contact the National Replace Project Partner. They will help you with doing this, send you the code for the frame, for example, for the frame version of the calculator on your website. And the calculator will be hosted until the end of 2025. So beyond project life. As I said, the project ends in April next year. Yeah, I will not show you a demonstration today because, as I said, the tool is quite easy to use. And here you can see the landing page. And please try the tool. It's really easy, and I think it's really helpful because in Austria, this tool was used for many years and it's very well known. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Herbert. And as you said, please have a look and also ideally, obviously, use the tool. It has a long-standing tradition in Austria, has now been implemented in other countries, and so it's well documented and well tried, so to speak, tool. Just a reminder, as I said, feel free to ask any questions in the chat if you want to know anything about any of the presentations. As I said, I can also take those questions to our panel discussion. We have plenty of time to discuss. And now, after all this replace input, I'm very, very happy also to have Federica Sabatti here. To actually talk about another EU-funded project, a project HARP. A very welcome to you. I'm also very glad that you could make it and that you are joining us. I can already see you and your presentation, so that is very good. She is the Secretary General of the European Heating Industry. Yeah, she will introduce us to the project HARP. Without further ado, I'm very happy to hand over to you and give you the floor for your presentation.
Thank you, Karina. Can you hear me? Yes, good. And you can see me as well. Perfect. So thanks for having me. Very interesting. I only followed the last couple of presentations, but have the feeling that we should have met before because there's a lot of well, certainly common goals amongst the two projects, Replace and HARP. and possibly also synergies. Yeah, so I will speak. So first of all, thanks for having me. I will speak obviously not so much on behalf of the European heating industry, but of the consortium that has been put together to work on this HARP project, which is of course funded by the European Commission, like yourselves. And yeah, my goal here is just to present to you what is HARP. And how we have worked on it, what's the ratio, what's the main ideas, and obviously I'm happy to take some questions afterwards. So first of all, HARP. HARP stands actually for Heating Appliances Retrofit Planning. And I think there's the two key words here, retrofit and planning, and we'll see in a minute why these are so important. Couple of words, it's a 3 years project which is ending this year, and it's funded by the European Union through Horizon 2020. There are 5 countries involved and 18 partners that include some national energy agencies, some industry associations like myself, or the one that I represent, let's put it, non-governmental organizations, research centers, consultancies, and the goal is really to find a way of motivating consumers to use more efficient heating systems as a sort of overall goal. Yeah, I can do it two ways. I start with why we are doing this, or why we've been doing this, because there's a project, as I said, that is ending this year, but it's supposed to really work in the future and not be limited to now. This slide shows you the installed stock of heating systems in EU27 across the years. So there's 3 pie charts that refer to the year from the year 2015 through to 2017 and 2019, and it's supposed to represent. So I suppose it does represent whatever heating systems you have at home, basically. And as you can see, the red part highlights. So the color code reflects the energy label. Of course, heating systems installed do not have an energy label, and that's part of the problem. That's why HARP exists. But let's say if they were labeled with the current energy label, then they would largely fall into the red category of red class of inefficient systems, probably class C, D, or lower. A large part of it, as you can see, is non-condensers or standard boilers of low efficiency by now, non-state of the art appliances that work either with natural gas or with other fossil fuels, like heating oil, for example. As you can see, this does not only show you what is installed, but it also shows you the dynamics of it, and that is how fast is this replaced, this stock is replaced. And as you can tell, that this is not replaced very fast, and this is one of the main problems of introducing renewable based efficient heating systems into our homes. In fact, the replacement rate up until today is about 4% a year across, so it's average across the EU. Some countries may be a bit faster than others, but that's the average. So what we've been saying, not so much as a consortium, but certainly as us as industry, is that we need at least a 6% in order to reach the targets for 2030. And of course, we have an added urgency with the current situation, where we need to be independent from the imports of Russian gas. So the problem is, therefore, it's a problem, it's an opportunity, but it's certainly a problem. One, it's a large stock. We are talking about today 105 million space heaters installed in Europe. About 61 million are inefficient, and they're being replaced too slowly. And this is a picture that shows you actually the diversity. I did mention that some countries are going faster than others, but not only that is a diversity amongst countries. The other difference is, of course, as you can all understand, is that countries have different infrastructure, energy infrastructure. They have different buildings types, and therefore this also shows a difference in the in the stock of heaters that you have. So you can see that, you know, if you take, for example, France and Sweden, it's a very different picture. In countries like Italy or Germany, you have still a predominance of system based on natural gas, while in France there's a little bit more electricity, but not that much. If you look at, for example, at the heat pump rate, heat pumps slice, let's say, it's still not huge, but sensibly bigger than in other countries, as well as, of course, Sweden. Poland is another different case, where we have a large part of the heating stock that is based even on coal. So that's even a completely different picture. This just to show that there is a difficulty in finding actually that one solution for the diversities, but there's also a common thread, and that is as I said, the fact that you need to bring with you in this transition every single consumer, every single household. So we've analyzed what are the challenges to a faster replacement rate. And this is where HARP really comes in, or where HARP tries to work on at least one of them. The first one is certainly the low consumer awareness of how energy efficient their appliance is. So the fact that, for example, you don't have an energy label, but you only get an energy label when you go and buy a new appliance, that is one issue that is blocking this replacement, or that is slowing it down. And I think everybody has a personal history that can exemplify that. I mean, I don't know how many times you yourselves have changed your boiler or whatever you have at home, but certainly when I talk with family and friends and ask how efficient is your heating system, then they don't even know what heating system they have. So I think that shows very much that low consumer awareness is a barrier. There's also other issues like the capacity and the capability of the installers of heating systems to drive that. So there we have really a gatekeeper at the same time as a roadblock. So a lot of the technologies that we put on the market also ourselves as industry are difficult to be installed by the classic installer. So there is a need of reskilling on the one side, this huge workforce that we need, but also increasing their number of installers. Again, personal experience is always extremely difficult to find an installer, and here I make reference to the planning word that I used earlier. So the from HARP, retrofit planning is a very important part of the picture in terms of how fast and how you're going to do your replacement. Of course, there's an element of financial cost, so the upfront investments has been historically a roadblock. Energy prices for end users are, of course, now even more important than today. They can be an enabler as well at this point. And then, of course, the poor energy performance of most buildings in Europe, because most buildings in Europe were built before the 1960s, when there were no standards for energy performance. So you have a really huge stock of buildings that actually have a very poor performance. So HARP really works on this consumer awareness, and tries to motivate consumers to change their heating system through basically an app that we have created. One additional note on consumer awareness: there was a study done by Center Data on the purchase decisions on heating appliances. And the result of these studies, which was carried out in October last year in 5 European countries, shows that the energy label itself is perceived as an informative tool, but more informative tool for consumers rather than actually being used as a comparison tool. It shows also in terms of awareness that the installer is a lever, is an important instrument to raise that awareness of consumers, because it plays an important role in the choice that the consumer does for the next appliance. Because as you know, you don't go to a supermarket and buy yourself a new heating system and then put it into your house. You have to have some professional that comes and looks at the building and your apartment or your house and therefore would adapt the technology that you choose, or did you like to choose, to the specificity of your building. Which gets me to the next point, which is indeed the specifics of a building is very much what determines the choice of an appliance versus another. For example, only 8% of recent buyers, the study says, have replaced, for example, a boiler with a heat pump, and that shows that the main reason being the specificity of the buildings, together with costs and the role that the installer has. So it is basically very important. It was very important for us as a consortium to try to work on the lever of consumer awareness, both to talking to consumers directly, but also through installers. And these are really the two target audiences that if you want, we had as HARP. It was really conceived as a tool to raise consumer and installers awareness, with the principle that knowledge is power. If you know how efficient your probably old heating system is, you will be pushed to do something about it. Yeah, and that's the first step to improve it. And this is really where we worked on HARP. We developed this online tool that you can also go yourself and check out and have fun filling in. It provides consumers with an indicative energy label. So you put the data of the system that you have at home, some specificity of your heating systems of today, and it estimates what kind of energy label it would have, and gives you an estimation of the cost associated with the system. But it also provides an alternative, so an overview of what alternative systems there are that are more efficient, and gives you some information on incentive schemes that is available at national level, obviously in the countries where we have that are part of HARP today. This is a bit an overview. It's quite a quick tool to use, so like a quick app, so it takes about 5 to 10 minutes. We have done 2 different versions for it, again, to underline the 2 avenues to reach the consumer, either directly or through a professional. It's at the moment available in 6 languages: English, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish, of course, reflecting the countries that are participating, plus English. We are towards the end of it, and therefore we can draw, so we could draw some conclusions from some of the countries. We still are finalizing for the rest of for the entirety of the countries that participated. But for example, as first project outcomes in Italy, one of the participating countries, we had a first campaign. So we divided a bit the first campaign and the second campaign between March and June 2021, and the second one in the autumn of last year, with a complete version of the tool. In general, we had a positive feedback, particularly from the associations of professionals of installers in Italy. There were some sessions, training sessions organized for installers, for designers, architects, that all have to somehow, they have a role in counseling end users. And this was perceived as a useful tool to make consumers aware of the inefficiency of the installed appliance. I think what came out, particularly in Italy, but I think across the board, I would say, is that the support, again, the support of the professional, of the installer is fundamental, actually in all stages, especially when you have to consider what alternative should I choose for this to substitute what I have. Yeah, that's of course the main question that the consumer has. I think similarly in other countries like France, Germany, and Spain, we had good experiences, and then maybe I can go into a couple more details if you want later. Just 2 words on the next steps that we have. We are looking particularly now at replicating this HARP initiative in other countries that are not yet, that have not been participating. We have at the moment 2 more case studies that have been developed for Greece and for Poland. But you know, we would be very happy if there was any other country that wanted to try to see whether they can adopt and adapt partially, at least on the language side, to other countries. So if there's anybody else amongst you that is interested in applying the HARP methodology for their market, and therefore try to push the awareness through this tool as well, that we could certainly talk, and we'd be very happy to share our experience. Our next events, formally closing events, will be on the 1st of July in Milan. There is a trade fair that involves also the heating bathroom sector, and that's where we're going to do our final conference. But we are still going to have replication seminars in the new, let's say, not yet participating countries, to present the result and to see, you know, how those countries can take up the tool as well. So the idea is really not to stay only in those countries, but you know, to try to enlarge it also to others. It's a methodology that can help us, especially helpful as we have seen with installers, but can also help to talk directly with the consumers, especially because we had the tool is you know, really there's 2 different parts of it aimed at different audiences. So I think this is my last slide. Thank you for the attention. Thank you for the possibility of being here. Happy to have a chat afterwards about the project, but specifically if there's anybody that wants to join in, very happy to catch up with that, with this full group of people. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Frederica. I think it sounds like the HARP tool and the replace calculator could be like a perfect match. Basically, one raising awareness and then the other one telling about the replacement. So I hope actually, yeah, people will approach you and replace and really make use of those tools, because obviously it is the aim to replicate and use them elsewhere. I've certainly already made a mental note for Austria. So thank you very much. Don't see any questions yet, but you will get some questions actually, for sure, as it is time to move on to our roundtable or panel discussion. You see already the list of participants there from HARP and Replace project. I don't see personally the participants yet, or the panelists, but I hope I will soon. So we have Dražen Balic from, perfectly, they're turning up, excellent. Dražen Balic from the Energy Institute Horvoje Požar in Croatia. We have Stefan Wechselmeier from Energiewende Oberland in Germany. We have Vladimir Georgievsky from the Stevie Center in North Macedonia. Or is he? Does he? Yeah. Then we have Angel Nikolaev from the Black Sea Energy Research Center in Bulgaria. I almost skipped, but I didn't. Ignacio Macias Rodriguez from Escan Energy Consulting. And then, as I said, we have back Frederica Zabatti and Herbert Tretter, you've already heard, to give us their perspective. So thank you all for joining us on this panel. I think we have a great sort of diversity in terms of countries and conditions that we have, because I think that's always the most important, to sort of learn from each other and see all the options and things that can be done. So I think to start us off, I would ask each of you to just maybe for a few minutes, 2-3 minutes, give us a little introduction in your country, in your region. What is the sort of residential heating, cooling sector like? And so Frederica maybe could also give us a little view on your sort of pilot countries, or maybe want to pick one or two, what seems sort of most relevant to you. So I think for this round, I would just take it sort of in the order of appearance, so to speak. So Dražen, I would ask you to give us a few insights on what is the situation in Croatia.
Okay, thank you very much, Karina, for first of all for inviting me to this webinar, and I'm really happy to have opportunity to participate in it. Also, just to introduce myself, I'm Dražen Balić from Energy Institute Hrvoje Požar from Croatia, and we are also one of the partners on the Replace project. Regarding the situation of renewables in the sector of heating and cooling in Croatia, it can be said that in fact the share of renewables in gross final energy consumption in 2020 was around 29.6%. While also according to the Article 7 of Renewable Directive, Croatia has to achieve 1.1 percentage point yearly of increase in national goals related to the renewables in heating and cooling, according to National Energy Climate Plan. And in fact, in 2030, our goal is to achieve 47.8% in renewable share in gross final consumption for heating and cooling. Also, it can be seen, it also can be observed that at the moment in Croatia we have around 450 megawatts of installed capacity in renewables for heating, and in fact half of it is from biomass, 40% is from solar, while the rest is from biogas and geothermal energy. And that's in fact something that there is still a lot of potential for increase in renewables. And I hope that by 2030 we will achieve our national goals.
Thank you very much for this sort of first intro. We will obviously hear from you later also a little bit more about the challenges and barriers. Let's now move over to Stefan from Energiewende Oberland. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Karina, and thank you for inviting us to be part of this really interesting panel and discussion. And also, Federica, thank you for this presentation. It was really interesting to hear what you said, because it really represents how the situation is also in Germany, I think, really well. Maybe a few words to the region Oberland. We cover a region of 440,000 inhabitants, south of Munich, 4 districts. And obviously we're close to Austria, so we were super happy to have this heating calculator also integrated in our region. And maybe to describe the situation in our region is we have a huge share of oil and gas still in the heating sector. So pretty much exactly how Federica described it in her charts. And what we see right now is that in the last couple of years, we had pretty low oil prices, which of course still led to a very hard counseling task if you try to convince people to move to renewables. Now everything changed, but as we discussed already, we have a huge problem with getting the installers ready and in the houses. We have a study in our region that we are missing about 2,000 installers in total, just for those 440,000 inhabitants, to actually reach the region's goal by 2035 to become 100% renewable energy powered, which regards electricity, but also heating and mobility. So I think these are super interesting problems that we're facing and that we actually have to find solutions. And in our region, I also have to say that about 44% of the heating energy is used in private households. So private households are the main key to actually achieve this goal. And I just saw the latest data on the energy and CO2 emissions of the region. What we see is that there is a decrease in oil heating, but there's also an increase in gas in the last couple of years. So I think that's a concern that we really have to raise and also make clear that renewables are the way to not only climate friendly, but also resilient region. So yeah, maybe this in a nutshell from our side and more in the discussion later. Thank you, Karina.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the trend on increasing natural gas heating will continue. At least in Austria, we've seen a lot of people now being quite panicky and sort of trying to get out of it. So that could be give some momentum. But I think also about the installers, Herbert might also talk a little bit about that, because unfortunately that seems to be a common problem. Thank you very much for this concise input. Let's move on to Vladimir and give us an overview on the situation in North Macedonia.
Okay, thank you. So I hope that you can hear me. It's a pleasure to be a part of this event, and I will shortly try to share some information about the heating sector in North Macedonia. So currently, with regards to the heating sector, one of the main challenges is related to the huge emissions of particulate matter that are present in many of the cities, especially in Skopje, Tetovo, Kumanovo, and Bitola, which lead to unacceptable levels of air pollution. And this is one of the biggest challenges related to the heating, because it is estimated that residential heating, especially old wood boilers, are the primary reason for these emissions. And the second issue that we are facing is related to the energy poverty, because there are a huge percent of households that cannot properly heat their homes. Currently, the heating in North Macedonia, and especially in Skopje, is generally divided in 3 technologies. So people either use biomass, and this is about 1/3 of the whole heating sector. Electric heating, predominantly old electric heaters based on some storage heaters, as you would call them, and central heating. A recent survey that was conducted by UNDP shows that about 50% of all households in Skopje would be willing to connect to the central district heating system if they had the chance to do so. However, they cannot do so. And it is interesting that recently we are seeing a large number of households that are becoming increasingly aware of the opportunity to choose inverter heat pumps and as a possible technology to reduce their electricity costs and also the energy use that they have. Another challenge I would address is the possible crossroads that we are facing on a national level with the development of the national gas of the natural gas distribution and transmission system. So households are faced and policymakers are faced with the decision either to develop a distribution system for natural gas and heat homes with natural gas. However, considering recent challenges that we are facing at the European level, I think this would be an issue worth discussing further. So this would be a general overview. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And also also talking a little bit about the challenges, because certainly we have them in all the pilot regions and in all participating countries. Let's now move across to Spain. And Ignacio, if you give us your sort of overview of the situation in your country or the particular issue.
Yeah, thank you, Karina. Well, in Spain, we have a big variety of climate zones. Like, for example, in the south, where most of the sun is, most households doesn't have the proper heating systems, but they tend to have the cooling systems. Although the pilot region for the Replace project, which is Castilla y León, has a very cold climate. Since it's like 800 meters above sea level, and well, cooling systems are rarely used, so we're focusing on the heating system side. And well, this is one of the most extensive regions in Spain, with many rural areas and small towns. Well, the predominant heating systems are oil and natural gas, like other project partners have said for their countries. And well, we're trying to push the replacement for biomass boilers, since there's quite a lot of forests in the region and a lot of agricultural waste. So also, what we found is that biomass is one of the renewable heating systems that produces the most jobs for the local communities. And this is a good thing for in this region of Spain, since in the last decades, many people are leaving from these rural areas to the big cities. And well, most consumers are kind of aware of the new technologies, but the initial investments are what are keeping them from replacement their old heating units. But they're aware of the biomass and mostly solar thermal for water heating. That's what most Spanish consumers are looking for.
Thank you very much for this little overview about Spanish situation, in particular in the region that was part of the Replace project. So let's also get some first overview of the situation in Bulgaria. Angel, just give us your introduction.
Thank you, Karina. In Bulgaria, we are focusing the project in Rodope region. It is a mountainous rural region with about 300,000 people. It is a very depopulated region, people moving to cities and inhabited mostly by energy poor households. The majority living in buildings with low energy performance, and the main heating source in the region is firewood. Over 80% of households use it either alone or in combination with coal briquettes, typically in inefficient stoves. Other popular sources of heating, by far not so much, but sometimes people use solely coal briquettes or electricity, either directly or via heat pumps. There is no oil use in the region, and the gas share is very small, as only one town has access to gas. The high use of wood and coal in inefficient stoves causes high air pollution. Generally, all towns and even some villages experience this high pollution. What we are trying to do in replace project is to substitute, to replace this inefficient biomass and coal stoves by efficient biomass boilers and heat pumps. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this overview. Now we've already heard a little bit from Germany and Spain. Frederica, is there anything sort of particular or special observations that you made either there, but maybe also in France or Italy, Portugal, sort of the region that you covered?
Yeah, I mean, indeed, the state. I think the state of you know, the heating systems I gave already, and you have the slides. You can also have a look at them. Perhaps just a couple of things on maybe on the trends in the market, what we're seeing today. So for the first time in 2021, we reached the sales figure of 1 million electric heat pumps sold in the market. I remind you that the total installed across Europe and the total installed is 105 million appliances. So we are now in 1 year at 1 million, and the Repower EU figure, the Power EU objectives, you know, want us to get to 4 million. So just to give you a measure of what, you know, what is happening at the moment, and also, and here I speak a bit as industry because we are producing them. So I have I take that hat for a second. We are facing, you know, a huge challenge, both in terms of production capacity, but we think we can manage as European industry. There was somebody, I think, before me that mentioned, maybe it was even Benedetta, that talked about the as one of the positive sides, the fact that the industry is a European, and indeed it is. So this is also knowledge that we have in-house and local jobs that we can also offer, because the heating market is very local. Yeah, it's a production, of course. It's a heating market that sells to European households, and then it's the local installers, is the wholesalers. So this is you know, the positive side of the story as we move to Repower EU. But of course, the share is really big. And the other thing that we should need to bear in mind is that, you know, all forecasts, including of the Commission, of, you know, the grid operators, electricity and gas operators, are saying that, you know, by 2050 there's not going to be 100% electricity for buildings. So we really are looking at a number of solutions that we need to put in the market for the various infrastructure, regional climate diversities, and of course my colleagues before me have just highlighted some of them. So yes, so the trends in the market are certainly an increase in electrification, mainly with heat pumps, but we are seeing also, and I heard no one of you mentioning this, but I want to mention it because it's small but very much growing. That's the hybrid technology that we are seeing at the moment growing, particularly in countries like in the Netherlands, Italy, very much, and I predicted also Germany will be picking up soon. France is, of course, also. I think Germany will pick that up soon, especially as I think there's a law in the making, or it almost made, that will prohibit the replacement of a boiler with a boiler, or something like this. I mean, Stefan, maybe you might. Sorry, I call you Stefan. You can correct me, but I think there's a trend there that looks at higher efficiency as minimum requirements, and of course renewables. So I think when we're looking at also what options we have, there's a large actually number of solutions that can be found. It doesn't have to be only one, and in fact it cannot be only one. For the heat pumps barriers in particular, we have done a study, or this industry, we've looked at what are the barriers for you know, the massive rollout rollout of heat pumps. We think that the main ones are with the good side of the story is that at least on the Repower EU objectives in terms of production capacity, we can get there. It's difficult, but we are opening plants everywhere in Europe, which is good for jobs as well. But there are the barriers are on the electricity grid. We don't think it's strong enough everywhere to bear the huge increase of electrification, both in mobility, because we're not alone here, and in heating. So there's something that needs to be done on that. And our discussions with the electricity grids, we are looking also at the option of hybrids, because this is an interesting technology. It's quite flexible. Basically, hybrid. There's many types of hybrids. Hybrid means 2 heat generators, but let's say hybrid heat pump. That would give you would install a smaller heat pump than if it was the main heat generator with a backup heater that can work with gas or with oil, or rather with green gas and green and bio oil, wherever that's possible, or wherever that is available. The idea is that you have for most of the time maybe 80%, 90% in some cases, but let's say certainly could be 80% of the supply of the demand. The heat demand could be done by the heat pump, and when you get very low temperatures, for example, then you have the backup heater that kicks in, or it's an intelligent operated by an intelligent control, so you could also look at the variation of is there enough renewable electricity today or not, that kind of elements. So just to say that electrification, hybrids also seen as a way to increase electrification in the building sector, but at the same time you need to strengthen the electricity grid for sure. Second, I mentioned it before, the installers. There just is not enough installers to for example, to install all of those heat pumps in the market today. Most of the installers are used to work on gas appliances, actually. So you need to have to do 2 things. You need to retrain those that are already in the market today and that will be in the market for another 10, 20 years. You need to then pick the new ones. So it's a profession that is not super interesting yet for people, so you need to motivate more people. And here I'm looking at national level, because at European level it's very difficult. It's not a competence of the Commission, for example, but in some countries it's not even national, but it's land or it's a region. So this element needs to really trickle down. We need new installers, so motivate young people for this profession. It's local jobs, it's attractive, there's money in it, because there's no installers. So and that's also the problem why there's not so many, and they don't come to you because they just have the luxury of the choice. They can do whatever they want, and they will go always for the bigger job rather than just the replacement of the heating system. So that's the installers. And then of course there's also the cost for the renovation, the energy prices. Of course, that's a whole different discussion, and now we are finding ourselves in difficult times where governments are intervening, price caps and so on. So that's difficult to mention, but it is the cost of the renovation, particularly for heat pumps, is a problem for the renovation market, because to have really the efficiency and the comfort that actually the consumer wants to have, i.e. a warm house, you will probably need to insulate a bit more your house, because most of the buildings are badly insulated. You will need to possibly replace your radiator, maybe put an underfloor heating, or just bigger radiators, different things. So heat pumps, as you know, they work on low temperature, so the feel of heating in a room like we're used to, where we put ourselves behind touching the hot radiators, that's not going to happen anymore. So it will work with lower temperatures, so you need larger surfaces to deliver that heat. And all of that means you really need to convince many people to open their houses and have works in it on top of the investment. This sounds all like a huge amount of problems, but I think we are optimistic because the wave is there, the interest is there, and as long as you identify the problems and call them with a name, then you can try to find solution. If we just say it's all good and we're going to solve it without really looking at the specifics, for me, your you know, it's like the pink glasses. So I think it's important to identify exactly where the problems are so that you can find the exact solution. And this is why for the HARP part, identifying that consumer awareness is a problem. That is a good solution. I have to say, last thing, I'm really taking too much time, sorry. On my personal assessment of the results so far on HARP is that I said that there's two target audiences: the the consumer part and the installer part. I see that our tool has been much more useful and has given results and engagement much more on the installer part than on the consumers. We have big numbers also on, well, we have medium big numbers on reaching consumers, but it's been really still difficult to motivate people to use this tool, to just use it. Yeah. So, you know, I myself had to, you know, go to my family and personal friends to pick up the numbers. So that's maybe something of an evaluation that I will need to make maybe with the commission to see how these programs are done. But this, for whatever reason, it's difficult while it's quite effective on installers. This is not bad in itself because with installers are a key part of the puzzle. So it's, I think it's a positive summing up, but just because I mentioned to you, please, you know, consider adopting HARP. I think it's also good for you to know that there are some issues. For example, in France, a high number of consumers reached by this tool thought that this was like a commercial note, so they didn't like the fact that somehow there was somebody asking them to fill in this the thing with their own data, your own home data. They felt it was an intrusion in their private sphere, and that this was therefore not. They didn't want to use it so much. So there are some things that we need to take care also when we adopt it, but there's also some opportunities, particularly with the installers. And I just wanted to mention it, you know, to be completely transparent with you, because I think it's just fair.
Well,
Sorry for taking so much time.
No, I mean, you've already answered all my questions of the obstacles and the solutions that I was going to take to the panel now. Thanks for the input. And yeah, I mean, the problem of getting consumers in a way interested in their heating system and really taking up the tools, that is obviously an issue everywhere. So I think, Herbert, if you want to sort of maybe already take up some of the issues also that Federica raised, and what is going on in sort of Austria, that would be good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. There was also a question from the audience. It related to if there is anywhere a region or a country that has reported that there is no lack of installers. I'm not aware. I think that's in the current situation with the supply security issues and so on in natural gas. I think there's probably no region where installers don't have full order books. In Austria, the order books of installers are full for the next half year. So it's not possible to get any offer or any installer, get hold of them. They even do not go to the telephone sometimes. When you look on the website, they say they have full order books. Please call in September or November. So some installers will try to make replacements during winter. For example, in our pilot region in Salzburg, many installers have this mobile heating systems, mostly based on electricity, small heating systems that can bridge over the, it's only 2 or 3 days where the
I think looking at everybody's faces, you're also maybe not hearing Herbert, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's sort of.
I can hear him now. I think he's.
Yeah, there seems to be a problem.
Oh, yeah, now he's gone.
installers
Okay.
don't much work.
Ah, he's back. Okay.
And yeah, that brings me to the other questions or topic. Can you still hear me? Yeah. Hello?
I think you were gone for a little while, but now you're back. So I think we only lost 2 seconds of what you said. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, what Federica said about the hybrid systems, we have actually included this in our calculator, because in Austria we have 4 million homes and 500,000 homes have tiled stoves based on pellets or on logwoods. And these tiled stoves are specially used on very cold days. And that would, of course, allow heat pumps, for example, to be dimensions smaller, and the calculator considers this, so to save upfront costs and also running costs, because when it's very cold, then even a very efficient heat pump might run on electricity only. So that's also a good thing to avoid. And in Salzburg, we have 240,000 homes in our pilot region that's in the middle of Austria. And in the last 30 years, and especially 10 to 15 years ago, a third of these homes was switched to district heating. That's I think that's really impressive what's happened in Salzburg, because normally in Salzburg there are 2,000 oil boilers are replaced, and during the time up to 5,000 oil boilers were replaced. In Salzburg, even the natural gas distribution system was switched off partly because of the successful rollout of the district heating systems. And by now, 1/3 of all homes, 80,000 homes of 240,000, are heated by district heat. Mostly also rural with biomass local district heating grids. So we also have 2,400 villages, and we have, I think, more than half of these villages have a district heating system based on biomass. That's also because we have nearly 50% of our area is forest. So we are a really big forest nation. That brings me to the rest of fossil heating systems in Salzburg. And Salzburg has only a quarter of the homes are heated by fossil fuels by now. So that's really low. It's 60,000 boilers that have to be phased out. 40,000, 2/3 are fuel boilers, fuel oil boilers, and only 20,000 are natural gas boilers. So that's the situation. Salzburg has about 600 installers. They have full order books, also because they travel to Bavaria. They are not only active in Austria. And in Austria, the installers also provide bathrooms. So it depends on the price they get for refurbishing bathrooms or boilers where they become active, but they definitely became more active because of the pandemic. When the tourism industry went down, they did invest less. And so that also helped the installers to keep their business and to run the business. And this also coincided with measures from the political side. We have very good subsidies in Austria from the government. Every oil or gas boiler gets 7,500 euros for replacement by climate-friendly heating systems. And added on top of that, every province gives another 3,000 euros. So every boiler in Austria, being it the oil or gas boiler, gets 10,000 euros to be switched. So that's quite attractive. Starting this year, energy poor households get up to 100% of the replacement costs. So that's also a very good thing that is facilitated by the EU funds that were developed during the pandemic situation. What we are facing in Salzburg, the local working group said that in Salzburg there are quite many wealthy people, also healthy, and they would afford to switch away from oil or gas, but they just do not have the time. They have family, they have work. And that was why we started to create a one-stop shop for the first time in Austria, we started to put up a one-stop shop for boiler replacement together with manufacturers, installers, and energy utilities. And we should be ready to go online with this boiler change platform in June. And there, basically, households will find a place where they can find installers nearby that offer all they need by one caretaker. And this caretaker will go into the house and will supervise all the crafts needed on the building site. So there is also a quality insurance issue, and there is a package of up to 15 measures that involving up to 7 or 8 different crafts that are all managed by one caretaker. So there could be only one contract for the home, or the caretaker collects all contracts needed and puts it forward to the homeowner to be signed. And we hope that this one-stop shop is also meant to increase the number of replacements, because we would like to increase collaboration among the different industries and crafts. For example, the boiler industry would be ready to organize dismantling and disposal teams for the existing heating systems. So the boiler industry would organize the people that put away the old heating systems and put into the cellars the new heating system, and the installers would just have to adapt and to connect everything. So that would allow the installers to have to replace a higher number of boilers or heat pumps. And also standardization is a topic, or the modularization, so that for example, hydraulics and so on are standardized, and that installers can work faster. So that are issues that we are currently developing together with industry. And also energy utilities like electricity suppliers, they also enter the heating pump sector and offer standardized packages like we offer in Salzburg at the one-stop shop for a quick replacement and for where everything is organized. So the big problem is that homes do not have the time to organize all issues and to get informed about all the details. And we try now to give a standard package where the homes basically do not have to take care a lot. They can trust that the public institutions developed this platform. This platform is run independently, and we also have every home gets public energy advice for free. That's also included in the package in the one-stop shop, and we hope that they succeed with this and would like to roll out this among Austria to other provinces, but we will see.
Yeah, we will. We'll see. Thank you, Herbert, and also for pointing out that this also part is finding more installers, but that maybe also different distribution of work or more automation could also be at least a little part of the solution there. Seeing as we have a very talkative panel, which is good, I see that we're already approaching lunchtime, and I do want to close in on time. But we already talked about obstacles and barriers. I just wondered if any of you wants to add something. Is there anything that we've sort of missed? I mean, we talked about installers, we talked about energy poverty, also got some numbers on production there. But do you feel any sort of barriers? I think Stefan, you want to add something?
Yes, because I think what we see right now is that we have kind of like overlapping problems, that we have had a long period where we did way too little with regards to replacing heating systems and making them more efficient. And now, like in Germany, and I think maybe also in other regions in Europe as well, we had the problem that once you announce subsidies people hold back their orders. And that's what happened in 2019. 1/3 of all the orders were cancelled because people were hoping for subsidies in 2020. So we already then, still, the market was barely able to cope with the demand. And in 2019, we had the subsidies. Plus we had COVID, which added additional work because people started to look around their house and found out that they have a heating and like looked at maybe if there's a label or not, or if they could do something about it. And so we have a steadily increasing demand, and the supply is not able to cope with it. And I think that's a main issue, and I think that's also pointing us towards the solution of it, which means we have to look at maybe scalable solutions with regards to consultancy. That's like what we see, that it was very well perceived that we have this tool, you know. I still believe like 80% of the questions consumers have can be answered with the same reply. They just have to look at it, you know, they just have to be aware of it. So I think we need money for campaigning, you know, we need to make sure that people receive neutral and competent information. Like Federica said, people are afraid of running into the arms of maybe a commercial. They want to make sure that their data stays safe and they're not being pointed at only one direction. And I think looking at scalable solutions in consultancy, but also with regards to replacing, like for example, collective actions as we have it in Replace in our region, we strongly focus on district heating, for example, even in small villages, you know. One farm that is actually able to supply more houses actually means a replacement, which immediately has a big effect and big impact on many houses and is also very efficient. And on the other hand, I see a strong problem with so many challenges that we still face with the renewable solutions, you know, like heat pumps. We still don't have a high share of renewable energy or electricity in the wintertime in our region. So I'm struggling with heat pumps. And also we heard about problems with biomass that we might have to put in there, like strong filters and all those kind of things to address all those matters and concerns. And still we have a way to go. And I think as like Federica mentioned, there's one goal, I think, or one hint. If the neighbor does it and if the family did it, you know, then you have a higher tendency to actually swap your to a renewable heating system, because these are your opinion makers in your close environment.
That's true. We also found that in a large-scale study in Austria, that if you have somebody or you know somebody, that is actually a big factor in you willing to replace your system. I want to also give the others a little chance to maybe have some closing remarks also in particular, but maybe also focus on solutions or measures that are good, because we've talked a lot about obstacles already. But as Stefan said, we also want to have solutions like campaigning and those kind of things. So if you maybe sort of give us just one idea basically, or very briefly your viewpoint, I think that would be much appreciated. I will maybe start with Croatia. Dražen, if you could talk about successful measures.
Yes, thank you, Karina. Well, everything in fact is already stated, and in fact maybe the most interesting thing is that Stefan said that in fact subsidies in fact I would say jeopardize the market, and in that sense they can prolong the investment. And in fact it's very interesting to notice that today, within this energy crisis, when energy prices are really historically high, in fact, this will foster the investment in renewable energy sources, not only for heating, but also for electricity. And in fact, it can be noticed that it's in fact some kind of, I would call it energy paradox, that in these times of energy crisis, we will have enough money to invest in renewables, in new technologies, in new solutions, which will, of course, provide us energy independency, that is sufficiency or at least higher level of sufficiency, and to the other side, we wouldn't invest in this in the case of economical prosperity. And this is in some kind of paradox. But I hope that this situation on energy markets will gain some positive impact, and that we will all in the end have an energy system which is more robust, more resilient, and with lower impact on climate and on the environment. And I think that this is something that it is beneficial in all this situation, and I hope that not only the Replace project, but also the similar projects will help to the end users to make informed decisions, to have courage to invest in such systems, and in fact to be a part of energy transition. And of course, I would say that one of the main obstacles, not only in Croatia, but also wider, is a lack of professionals, of installers who can be in line with this demand on energy markets. Because, for instance, in Croatia, if you want to install today some solar panels on your rooftop, you can find the installers to do this, and this is in fact really challenging for not only for a target region but also wider. And in fact, that's something that I would like to conclude this meeting.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was some very good points, and you're all suffering from the lack of people power, so to speak, right now. Angel, anything you want to add from the Bulgarian side?
Yes, what is needed as a potential solution is mostly information to consumers about the feasibility of technologies, a way to calculate different options. They need good practice examples, especially from the region. What else is needed is training for installers and equipment suppliers, and especially how to communicate with the residents. Also, analysis of typical buildings from the region, and Replace has actually contributed to all of this. And what else is needed at the national level is a financial stimuli to cover the initial investment, because unfortunately currently we have price distortion. The government subsidizes the prices of polluting options and does not provide stimuli to clean options, which should be changed in next months. Thanks.
Very good. Yeah. Well, that's obviously an important factor as well. If prices or incentives aren't there, then obviously it is very difficult for households to become active. Vladimir, you already talked a little bit about the problems, air pollution, energy poverty. What are sort of measures or most important solutions to address those issues in your mind?
Yes, so historically, as I mentioned earlier, in North Macedonia, we have a huge problem with air pollution. And as a result of this problem, local and national authorities have developed and have given subsidies for energy efficiency and investments for inverters, solar thermal panels, and solar PV panels in recent years. As a result of these subsidies, we have some good lessons learned, what to do and what not to do, how to properly direct these finances, and how to avoid unnecessary spending in places where we don't have to spend those resources. So how to prioritize the subsidization. One of the key challenges that we've seen throughout these years is the lack of awareness, and I don't mention this bluntly in terms of lack of awareness. I really believe that certain households aren't aware of the synergies between the environmental and economic benefits when households are advised or given suggestions to invest in more environmentally aware, environmentally beneficial technologies. They don't necessarily see the individual economic benefits that they can reap from these investments. So information should be provided where they should invest, and suitable subsidies should be provided to help them make those investments. One more thing I would add is there is a need for a stable policy framework, especially a policy framework that follows the developments in the European Union. I would mention the policy framework regarding energy communities, especially local energy communities that are based on renewable energy. So I think transposing this directive in the national legislation should additionally stimulate households to replace their old heating systems.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's a very good point for heating, but also in Austria. We've seen that also for electricity, like acceptance of PV or wind project increases when it's part of the community and everybody can sort of benefit. So a really important tool there as well. And last but not least, I'd move over to Spain. Matthew, from your point of view, any sort of solutions or measures the others haven't mentioned yet that we are missing?
Well, I believe that almost everything has already been said by the rest of the panelists, but I would like to add that one thing that we found very helpful is that okay, consumers usually they think they know the benefits, but they don't actually really understand all the benefits. And tools like the replace calculator make them see like clearly with numbers all the benefits they will get over the years, not just environmental but economical savings because of the efficiency of these new boilers, and comparing to, well, even in this situation where the gas and fossil fuel prices are increasing, and they can clearly see much more clearly than just only focusing on the initial investment. Oh, they see, oh, this is very expensive and they don't want it. So I think tools like this are very helpful for the overall population. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, I hope so, because that's why we also had the project. And as I said, we have good experience with it to make people refocus and think about that it's not just a one-off thing, but this is a decision where you'll benefit for many decades. And obviously the planet for many decades, so to speak. Both obviously. Well, thank you very much. You're already a little bit after lunchtime. I know I could ask all of you many more questions because you all know so much. But for today's workshop, I would call it a close. But I'm sure that all of you are available for if there are any follow-up questions. That people get in touch. For sure, also any of the tools. If you want to know more about HARP, Frederica, I'm sure people can contact you and ask about the tools. The same is true for Replace. If you want to know more about the calculator, how to use it or how to replicate it, please also get in touch with Herbert and the Replace team. Because there's already a lot out there, and with sort of time running out, and in a way people being stretched in all directions, I think replication also is a good way to go, especially now. So for me, all that is left, I suppose, is to say thank you very much to all the inputs, all the speakers. It was good to see you again, at least online. And also my thanks to the build-up team who organized the meeting, hosted it, and did everything. It went very smoothly. So also big thank you to you and your team. And with that, I wish you a happy lunchtime and a good day, rest of the day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.